I'd like to welcome you all to the presentation today. My name is Kevin Karstead. I am the president of Karstead Associates, consultancy to the packaging industry. I'd like to ask our panel to introduce themselves and to talk a little bit about their products.
Morning, everybody. My name is Christophe de Keukelaar. I work for Agfa Graphics, and I'm representing here the Datrix Modular. Datrix Modular is basically a flexo press where we integrated single pass UV inkjet to it, and that's why we're talking here, because it has a perfect fit in the folding carton, but definitely also in the flexible packaging industry.
My name's Ray Dickinson. I'm with the Hewlett-Packard Company, and specifically I'm focused with HP Indigo division. Indigo is, has digital offset color printing technology, which is used in commercial printing. It's also used in packaging and converting. It can be used for folding cartons, flexible packaging, PS labels, and actually any format of packaging.
Hi, Rick Bryant from Xerox. The product that we have here today is our Xerox automated packaging system for folding cartons. You can see the iGen 4 out there today, and we've got some samples of what you can do on the folding carton side of things. Glad to be here today, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
I'm Sean Skelly from EFI. I'm one of the founders of EFI's Jetreon division. We've been around 7 years, where we've used industrial inkjet inks and systems for packaging and labels and other places. So you'll hear some unique uses where we've actually printed directly on products, where we've mounted on existing systems for printing, for example, barcodes, serialization, as well as recent an announcement of fully printing on flexible materials and some new inks, LED lamps, etc.
Just to familiarize yourself just a little bit, the Xerox folks have a dry toner technology. Very proven technology that they're bringing to the market with their packaging product, and the HP is a liquid ink, but they're both a contact imaging, where the substrate actually comes in contact with something that transfers the image. Where the inkjet systems, there's no contact with the actual substrate. The ink is basically jetted onto the piece. Where have you found success, both on the flexible side and on the folding carton side?
I already said that we have a single pass UV technology. UV means that it allows you to print on a lot of different substrates. That plus the fact that we went to a FlexoPress builder for basically to do the media handling. By marrying these two things, it allows you to go into all the different markets. Our first success was definitely in the folding carton industry for two main reasons. First of all, there was not such a big need for indirect food approval. When you print with UV inks, this is important. So that was our first focus. Also the fact that you can print up to 24-point board, 25.6 inches wide, allowed us to get faster into that market. And secondly, because a lot of these customers, they have a customer base that also needs POP. Stuff that needs signage. So with that same press, you could basically not only do the folding carton, but add more products into your portfolio. Then on the flexible packaging side, we're really starting to take off there because of the fact that we have launched a low migration UV inks, so that really is targeting the indirect food market. 75% of the flexible packaging is indirect food, so we're really going there after that market now.
So HP Indigo started as just Indigo, targeting packaging converters. It is 94. We have 1,000 converters that are clients right now doing packaging with the HP Indigo presses, and there's 3 different platforms that are still out there. So we have 1,000 converters. These converters are small, medium, and large size converters. What are they printing? There's probably no major brand, minor brand, or even smaller brand in the middle that hasn't been printed some form of packaging format on the HP Indigo press. Whether it's for proofs, comps, market tests, or production, to Christophe's point, all of these are possible and being done today as we speak.
At Xerox, we actually started our journey into the packaging world several years ago with iGen 4 and our partner in Europe, Stora Enso. They actually they manufacture paperboard over for the European market, and they saw a need actually in the pharmaceutical industry for short-run packaging. we ended up working with them to develop a solution that allowed the pharmaceutical business over there to actually do short runs of a couple hundred boxes. Given the requirements that they have for the different languages that they need to support, the different countries, all the regulations involved, et cetera, trying to do that on an offset or Flexo was going to be prohibitively expensive. By having a digital solution, they were able to do those short runs now, very economically. Another example of an application there today is the one that we're featuring actually downstairs is with Microsoft, Windows 7. Normally when you think of Microsoft and the quantities of boxes and things that they produce, that's in the millions. Why would that be done digitally? Well, the answer is the day they launch it, yes, it is going to be done, offset Flexo because of the quantities. But after it's launched, when Microsoft needs to reorder boxes for their different stores, the different suppliers that they have, they've got to kind of guess as to exactly how many boxes they need. By moving to a digital solution, they actually can now print just what they need when they need it, and they get exactly the quantity. So the waste actually goes away for them. It's akin, I think, to where we were about 10, 15 years ago in the offset to digital transition. It's getting everybody used to short run, on demand, just in time, no inventory, personalization or versioning, et cetera. I think you're seeing that now start in general in the packaging industry.
When we started Jetreon, we went after the industrial market because you could print on pressure-sensitive materials, thin films, folding carton, etc. That's exactly the reason we went after it, because of the lack of contact that you have to that it requires. I kind of liken it to, you're putting down ink, it's flying through the air, and it's getting a drive-by tan, essentially, because it's not being touched by the curing unit, it's not being touched when it's printed, and that allows us to print on all those different materials. Fact of the matter is, even pressure-sensitive labels is still, even with the great work that Indigo, Zycon, ourselves have done to push that market forward, and Dotrix is still very early. Less than 5% of labels are probably produced digitally today. So it's still a very small number. Maybe people say, well, that's old news. That is not old news. That's where a lot of things get started first to begin with, because it was right in the right zone as far as speeds, image quality requirements, etc. So going after Flexo on that was a natural place to start. One of the things we've decided from a business standpoint was to start with narrower units, like 5.5 inches wide, 8.3 inches wide. Most flexible packaging or folding carton does require, as Christoph has mentioned, a Dotrix unit that might be wider. It makes more sense. But a lot of people aren't ready to step up and maybe spend $1 million or more on that if it's their first time doing digital printing. So a lot of people are actually getting in the game printing on pressure-sensitive labels first. We've then built on that, and we've been doing on flexible materials. If you stop by our booth, I might have some in the back, but we've actually also been doing some shrink sleeves as well, where we're able to shrink the ink up to 90% and the material and still not crack, because you have those trade-offs of you want something very durable, but you also want it to be able to shrink. So anyway, we should keep in mind that we're still in the very early stages, even for people who are forward-thinking commercial printers and others. We're still in the early stages of where we're going with digital printing. And the other thing we'll talk a little bit as we go forward is some non-traditional printing directly on other materials. We've made custom devices to print directly on metal cans, plastic containers with no labels at all. Again, the reason you can do that is if you have a non-contact process, because you're going to have strange curved surfaces and other things.
I want to ask the panel what role the brand owner's playing. Are there brand owners out there kind of trying to drive the process?
So as we've talked to a lot of brand owners, there's no question that they have a lot of holding costs tied up in obsolete inventories. Things where they have ingredient changes, whether it's on folding carton, labels, whatever, where they either want to do promotions, there's changes to products, there's regulatory changes, require them to put other information, FDA requirements, etc. So the fact of the matter is the brand owners, at least at the conceptual level, know that they want to drive down these inventory levels. They do it in a couple of ways. They either push it back on printers to say you deal with the inventory problem, which is not a good answer for you, or they themselves have a huge percentage of things that end up getting thrown out and obsoleted because they don't have a great strategy to work on it. We've talked to folks at Nabisco and Kraft and other places. The Nabisco guys say, listen, I can have my Nabisco cookie engineers come out with a new cookie in a week. It takes me 4 to 6 weeks to get new packaging out for that. So there's a time to market issue here, not only just for short run packaging, but for some of the longer run packaging. No question about it, that's an issue. The other thing is, with the brand owners on the other side, however, is even though they love this idea of all this short run opportunities and promotions and all that, the fact of the matter is they don't a lot of times have the infrastructure in place to distribute things to the right place. They're not there yet where they can make sure that the products they're making get to the right stores. Even though the brand owners may want this, they may not be able to actually execute it.
The other thing I'd add, though, is education. I think some of the brand owners don't quite know that they have this capability yet. They don't understand that they can actually make every box different or every label different. And the problem is, I think most of you guys are probably talking to their purchasing department, and that purchasing department individual is going to be incented on where can I get the box for the cheapest price. They're not looking at the whole supply chain and looking at the value by not having to throw inventory away.
I'm dealing with a number of different brands, and they're all chasing the same thing. And HP's chasing the exact same thing, too, for its the cartridges, the replacement cartridges that you buy for the inkjet pens. We're one of the largest and most complex, and we move the most units globally of just about any leading brand in the world. So we have a pretty large supply chain. And what I've learned from really probing deep into that is almost every single run at HP for those inkjet cartridges is addressable with digital. And the power of digital is this, that they can go down to, from whatever number of inventory turns we have today, down to 24. That would be a big, big accomplishment. And when you take it down to 24 inventory turns, so that's basically every 2 weeks, they're essentially stockless. They are essentially, they have no friction, so they can change any graphic, anytime, any way they want, and they don't have to worry about burning through some inventory. So for you converters, what I find is this. There is an opportunity to lower the total cost of packaging. That would be how I would lead in with the purchasing manager. And yes, I know the ROI resides in a different place in the organization, and that's a challenge for everybody. However, you can lower the total cost for packaging if you can go to increased number of inventory turns. And then there's benefits for marketing. On top of that, variable printing is not going away. There'll be more variable printing today than there was yesterday. So whether you're doing it today, thinking about doing it, you will be doing it. And so you're going to have to come up with solutions to address that as well. So single pass, full color printing can address the variable printing aspects as well.
These brand owners are out there, they also walk the floors, and when they see these technologies, like from the companies that we come from, and they start talking about it, and they ask you about the possibilities, and you tell them what they can do with this kind of technology, they are so excited. They say like, wow, how come that my converter never told me about this? So on one side they're excited, but at the same time they're also frustrated, because they say like, but look, they should know that it's out there, but they're not telling me about this solution.
What we've run into is the marketing guys have all these great ideas at the CPGs, the consumer product goods companies. They have all these great ideas on promotions and all this stuff. They have no money. They have no money to spend on digital, typically. It's not them, because what they're basically doing is they're trying to get their organization to say, hey, will you spend 10 cents extra per package because I might sell this much more? They're not yet quite willing to make that. Where the decision makers are, and I think Ray was touching on this a little bit, is the finance guys. The guys who say, hey, get me 24 inventory turns, cut down my waste, show me a hardcore cost savings. And then, by the way, if you happen to do some good marketing on top of that, okay, those guys have money. They can make decisions. At least from our perspective, we've seen the marketing guys have all the cool ideas and no money to spend on digital investment.